So we're officially recording. It is the beginning of week 4 of Principles of Management. We have a nice big crowd here, 16 people. Thank everyone for showing up. And as usual, I know some of you are at work, so you can't turn on your cameras, or you might be, for whatever reason, you can't turn on your cameras. But if you can, I do appreciate it. Unless, of course, you have COVID, and so you probably look all sick and stuff. So we'll let the COVID ones, keep their camera off. So this is it. This is the last week. I think I said it before we started recording. Class ends at 11:59 on Sunday night. So please, if you have anything needs to be caught up, let me know. If I need to give any extensions, whatever. I see somebody else coming in. That is Margaret. I'm not looking at it here. Oh, I changed the sort my name. There we go. Margaret Ann is here. Awesome. All right. So I figure what we'll do is we will work on chapter 13 to get started. And I've already kind of cheated it a little bit, so we don't have to go through the mess we did last time. Let me see. Somebody else come in. Oh, all right, sorry, must have been seeing things. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. All right, so these are the questions for the assignment on chapter 13. As I've already kind of went through them and cheated on them a little bit, so hope you guys won't mind. Okay, and this is over motivation, and motivating our workforce. Hey, a manager who is attempting to identify what motivates employees to work should understand the factors that comprise motivation, in addition to understanding motivation's relationship to job performance. Okay, so there's a diagram here. The following diagram describes the basic relationship between motivation, effort, and performance, job performance. Click on each tab to reveal the examples of 3 components of motivation. Factor 1, I'm going to do whatever I can in the next 2 hours to get the presentation done. Factor 2, I want to do a really good job on this presentation, but without overextending myself and getting stressed out. And factor 3, my time would be better spent on payroll, but my boss would rather I work on the presentation. So each of these factors is either an example of initiation of effort, direction of effort, or persistence of effort, the 3 components of motivation. The factor that is an example of initiation is factor 2, because the person in the scenario they really want to do a good job without overextending and getting stressed out. Because the person in the scenario is deciding how much effort to put into the presentation. And then they give us an explanation. The initiation of effort involves a choice employees make when deciding how much effort to put forth in their jobs. The scenario given for factor 2 describes a person who decides to put a fair amount of effort into working a presentation, but without becoming overextended or stressed out. Persistence of effort, factor 1, is a choice that an employee makes in regards to how long to put forth effort to work on an assignment before reducing or eliminating those efforts. Direction of effort, factor 3, involves a decision employees make in regard to which work assignments to focus their efforts on. And that's always, I know sometimes there's always that friction between what you think you need to get done and what the boss needs to get done, or tells you need to get done. So that's because yes, I need to be working on payroll, because as a professional, as an employee, you'll know many times what your schedule is, what you need to get done. Bosses aren't always, I'm not gonna say privy, but they don't always know when things get done and how they get done. They just know they get done, at the right time. They know they never have to wait on payroll, or they don't have to wait on this or that. And then the understanding of, hey, now you need to, here's this other project and I really need to get this presentation done. And you're like, but this is when I have scheduled to payroll. Well, there's that. So I think that'll go back to some sort of, communication with, hey, how do you need me to prioritize my time? And then you kind of explain it to them. But that's has anyone ever seen the young lady on, she does YouTube shorts, it's Toodaloo. Anybody ever pay attention to her? All right, we get she's hilarious, but uh she does all these characters about, like working distance from home, and all the different personalities and the bosses and things of that nature. um it's, some of it's hilarious, but she also does a little sexual, I professionally say. So if I can find one of those here in a minute, we may have to look at those, just because they're great to watch. Even though the remainder of the assignment will focus on motivation, there are two additional determinants of job performance. The following equation is frequently used to represent job performance. Job performance is equal to motivation times ability times situational constraints. And yes, which of the following can you infer? And the right answer is a person who has high motivation and abilities with low situational constraints is most likely to exhibit high job performance. And the wrong answers, which I think, well, let's just, the equation illustrates job performance as a function of the combination of motivation, ability, and situational constraints. Since this is a combined effort, focusing only on one aspect will not guarantee an increase in job performance. Rather, it is the combination of employees exhibiting effort on the job, high motivation, and employees having the knowledge, skills, and talent to perform the job, high ability, and the presence of tools, policies, and resources allow a person to do the job, low situational constraints. That can lead to increased job performance. Note that the motivation and ability are positive factors you want to increase, whereas situational constraints are negative factors that you want to decrease in order to improve job performance. Additionally, it takes a change in only one of those determinants, a decrease in motivation or ability, or an increase in situational constraints, to lead to a reduced job performance. So, this is some sort of weird math thing, but my old boss, old mentor, Ron, he used to tell us, no matter, you have to be willing to do the job in order to, he said, all the ability in the world, no matter how smart you are, and how much knowledge you have, doesn't matter without the rest of these things here. So and he used to, that's how he kind of motivate me. I know you're smart, I know you're hardworking, but here's the things you have to work on. We have Abraham Maslow, Clayton Aldifer, and David McClellan have each presented a well-known theory regarding a number of types of needs categories. So we looked at Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Have you guys seen that? Yeah. Some have, some haven't. I'm not always sure who has and who hadn't. Maslow's hierarchy of needs presents 5 categories of needs, whereas Aldifer's ERG theory collapses Maslow's categories into 3. Provide the missing category labels from Maslow's theory for the following work scenarios and answer the related questions. Being offered opportunity to prosper in your career field of self-actualization. Let me see if I can find a picture of, I should have already done that. We'll go, I hate Wikipedia, but we'll go to Wikipedia. Maybe we can get a good picture of it. Can everybody see that? And by the way, I need to, because I know people have a hard time and nobody ever tells me, but I can always make that larger. There we go. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's not the right one. There we go. You have your physiological needs, safety needs, love, belonging, esteem, and accomplishment, and self-actualization at the top. Reaching your potential. Very few people ever get up here. I'm not sure if anybody actually gets up there. But down here on the bottom, our physiological needs, those are the needs for food, water, shelter, and then safety. But we need these things before, and you have to be able to get all these taken care of before you can move up to the next level. So you can't get into love and belonging and self and esteem and accomplishment and self-actualization without having your safety needs taken care of. Can't get into your safety needs if you're hungry and you're thirsty and you don't have any shelter and you're out in the middle, so just remember kind of where these come from. Okay, so being offered to prosper in your career, that's into self-actualization. Gaining positive attention from your manager after presentation, that's going to be your esteem up in here. And having a salary allows you to adequately feed your family. Once again, that's down in the physiological needs: food, water, shelter. I think even the sex is down in the physiological area as well. So more of your, I guess, just the base needs of a living creature. Alderfer combine the needs for gaining positive attention from your manager and having opportunities to prosper in a career path into the category of growth needs. So he argued, Alderfer argued that the needs categories could be condensed into the following: existence needs, relatedness needs, and growth needs. He combines the needs for gaining positive attention from your manager, esteem under Maslow, and having opportunity to prosper in a career, actualization under Maslow, in the category of growth needs. And that may be a little more accurate. I mean, when you're trying to condense something like that into a usable category, we know everything is a lot more complicated than they give us here. But being able to mesh it, just from an understanding point, seems to be the way to go. Because I don't think self-actualization here, or I don't think that is actually something that can be accomplished. I think you're always going to be seek for, your potential, or hopefully we're all seeking our potential. Okay, McClellan's learned needs theory argues for a slightly different set of needs that motivate people: affiliation, achievement, and need for power. Now, that's more of that need for power, I think, is more of a postmodern view. If you ever, get to read up or study postmodern theory, it's pretty, I don't subscribe to, because they subscribe everything to a need for power. Determine whether each of the following examples describes a person with a high need for affiliation, achievement, or power. When a student asks a question, Professor Smith says, "I'm in charge of the classroom. You'll ask questions when I permit you to." That is power. Yes, that is a power tripping butthead. Had a few of those.
Yes.
Jennifer Baum is the motherly boss. She is willing to listen to her employees when her employees have a problem. I can't seem to read tonight. Really, like I said, postmodernist theory based everything on power, when a lot of other things, maybe based on like the hierarchy of, trying to remember the word now. Anyway, I'll remember like right in the middle somewhere, because I'm getting off on a tangent. So we have one need of power, and then one here that is going to establish personal relationships with people on her team, and they're probably often good at people who need affiliation are often good at integrating or coordinating the work of others. So just easy peasy stuff here. Okay, so on the second one, we're on equity theory. Now, and I know these days we seem to use the word equality and equity interchangeably, but they're not. Okay, we need to remember there is a difference between equality and equity. Equality is going to give you a equal. Why is my brain not working tonight? Equality is going to help me out, guys, because it's going to be done for the rest of the 32 minutes if I'm not careful. Equality is going to give you equal opportunity to achieve. Okay. Equity is trying to give you give everyone equal outcomes. All right. And one of those just, and so when they try to superimpose one on top of the other, it never works. Okay. Because when you try to make everybody's results equal, you're taking a lot of their own talents out of the equation. All right. I will never be able to play like LeBron. Or you say, guys like remember Shaq. I love me some Shaq. And there's no equal outcome for if you put Shaq up against Stephen Hawking. Okay. Those are two different types of people with two completely different talents. Okay. Stephen Hawking was stuck in a wheelchair, had the brain the size of a planet. Shaq was just the size of a planet. So I think I saw a picture of him standing next to Kevin Hart one day. And I'm not sure if you're an alien coming down and you didn't know what human beings look like, you would think those are two different kinds of species right there. Or even imagine me standing up next to him. Imagine working as an accountant in the corporate offices of Chevron, a large energy company. One day, your manager, Ruth, announces a new performance management and compensation system. From now on, people will be evaluated based on whether they have met the goals they set at the beginning of the year. Shortly after meeting with Ruth, you are standing in a hallway when you see Becky, your best friend in the accounting department. She looks upset. Let's fill in the blanks here. You say, Becky, where are you going? You look, you're really angry. Becky says, I'm going to human resources, and you're absolutely right. I am angry. Have you heard about the stupid new performance management system? You say, well, what about it? I can't believe it. Now our pay depends on meeting goals. Doesn't effort count for anything anymore? I have the same goals as Suki does, and I have to work twice as hard to meet them. My inputs are much higher than hers, and Ruth knows it, but Suki gets the exact same outcome I am. What you go, wow, that sounds like really inequitable situation. What are you going to do? See, and how do you manage something like that in real life? Some people do have to work harder. It's just like in school. Some people have to study harder. Some people don't have to study at all. But in the end, you're all judged on the same grade. It doesn't matter if I put in 27 hours of studying and, Michael put in 30 minutes right before the test. We both make the same grade. We make the same grade. Outcomes, okay, so they give us an explanation of outcomes are the rewards you receive from work. They include pay, recognition, even the satisfaction you get from doing work you enjoy. Inputs are things you bring to work. They include how much effort you put into your work, your levels of experience and education, your skill levels. In this case, Becky's inputs are high, her outcomes are low. This leads to a negative inequity. Becky is feeling under-rewarded based on her inputs. Once again, though, it is a slippery slope. All right. because you don't pay the bills based on inputs. You pay the bills based on outcomes. So the electric company doesn't care if you worked really, really hard that week. Speaking of which, I think I have electric bill to pay. Base preceding conversation. What could Becky do to improve her situation? 1 is leave the job. 2 is request a salary increase. Marriage. Okay. Request a salary increase. And then put less effort into her work. Becky is under-rewarded when compared to Suki. Suki's outcome to input ratio is better than Becky's output to input or outcome to input ratio. In these types of situations, people are driven to reduce inequity by decreasing effort, leaving their jobs, attempting to increase outcomes, rationalizing or distorting inputs or outcomes, or changing the reference that is used to compare inputs and outputs. As a result, Becky is likely to reduce her feelings of inequality by requesting a salary increase and putting less effort into her work. So we're going to increase outcomes and decrease effort, or she can just leave. And that's always the thing too. Is that job? Is that the job for which one are we talking about here? Who was mad? Becky. Yeah. Is that really the job for Becky? If Becky has to work twice as hard at a job to get the same outcome, is that where she needs to be? Or is there the expectations coming out of the company because of Suki? Suki may just be super go. She may not have all the things in her way that Becky does. What is holding Becky back? So, like I said, once again, how do you adjust for that? Well, in the end, it's going to be all about outcome, right? In the end, it's going to be all about outcome. I think we find many times when you try to do the equity thing at work, you kind of reward people who underperform and disincentivize people who do perform. I think that was part of the problem with like Twitter. Do we know? Anybody know how much of the workforce Elon Musk got rid of from Twitter after he bought it? Anybody hear about that? He got rid of 80% of the workforce. Oh, that's maybe answering. He got rid of 80% of the workforce. And he said, guess what? We didn't need that people to run Twitter after all. So a lot of people were underperforming and just taking advantage of the situation. In an attempt to restore equity in the workplace, managers should make sure decision-making processes are fair. For example, employees that have experienced recent layoffs and perceive compensation rates to be unfair are more likely to seek constructive ways of restoring equity when procedural justice is high. Okay, so restoring equity in the workplace requires managers to be mindful of both distributive and procedural justice. Distributive justice involves the degrees in which outcomes and rewards are fairly distributed, while procedural justice focuses on procedures used to make reward allocation decisions. In times of layoffs and low perceptions of distributive justice, unfair compensation rates, as an example, employees have been found to seek constructive ways to restore equity with procedural justice is high. Perception that decisions and procedures that led to the unfair compensation outcomes were themselves fair will motivate employees to seek more constructive ways to restore equity instead of resorting to more destructive taxes such as withholding effort, absenteeism, and tardyism. Sometimes you have to bring yourself and your skill level up. I know anybody here do 10 key? Ever had to do 10 key? Is that a yes, Robert, or just moving around? Yeah.
Yeah, I've done 10 key.
When we first started when I had an accounting job at a Ford dealership, I was not the best 10 key person at all. And those ladies just run circles around me on a 10 key. So I just had to bring myself up. I had to practice and motivate myself to become quicker. Otherwise, I was going to continue to get left behind. And I was going to work maybe not twice as hard, but 30% longer because I was just slower. So I had to I couldn't slow them down, so I had to speed myself up.
10 keys not
Uh,
that easy. Not at first. I got up to about 280 kpms.
wow, that's nice.
I was
That is
very
nice.
shocked.
It's no, it's tough. It is tough, and it's like oh, they don't call it typing anymore. It was typing class in the '80s when I took it.
Right.
It's keyboarding now, and
Right.
that is a completely, but that's another skill. If you're not as fast as other people, you're going to be as productive. And I can tell you, when it comes to keyboarding, I am 100% not. But some of the things I found to use, like in these emails, everything else, I have a huge cheat sheet that I've made over a period of time in Microsoft Word that I pull up usually pretty much every day. And I can sit there and I can copy and paste with the best of them. Some, things that I know some of the things I'm going to use over and over and over and over again. We're not, so, and that helps. Because students many times ask the same, I'm going to get the same questions from Kimberlyn today that I've got the last year from someone else, and I'm gonna get the next 5 years. So sometimes she's gonna ask me, and I know she hasn't asked me anything, but she's gonna ask a question. I'm gonna have a pre-made response on my Word document that I just add to and change as I need to, and I can go in at my own kind of time frame and make changes to it and clean it up as I like it as we move forward. And I can keep it updated. Helps a lot. All right, so we are back to expectancy theory. Okay. Adding expectancy theory to the model of motivation and performance illustrates how the interaction of valence, expectancy, and instrumentality contribute to motivation. Instrumentality highlights how employees are motivated to put actual effort into their jobs when they believe their performance will result in the rewards they want. Because we all go to work for a reason, right?
Mhm.
And it's not because, I like my job. I got a pretty groovy job, and I don't hate it at all. But it's still to get paid, pay the bills, take care, the physiological needs, food, water, shelter. Because if I didn't have to do this, I could spend a lot more time on the golf course. That would be my preferred way of living, right? Or on the beach. Although my old boss Ron, he did make a point. He'd make the same points over the period of years. Was he said, okay, he asked me, he said, or all of us, I think in a sales meeting one time, said, so what happens if you win the lottery? We're all like, well, we retire, He said, okay, so you go lay on the beach for 6 months, and then what? So I kind of froze, because I'm like, well, because when you think I'm going to retire and I'm going to go lay on the beach and I'm going to play golf every day, yeah, what happens after I've done that for 3 months, 6 months, a year? What's next?
Right.
I think people are kind of, they want to be productive things. And that's why people don't remain retired. That's why they go back in the workforce, or they open a business, or they continue to run their business long after they could sell out, because, or because you can only lay on the beach for so long. You only play so many rounds of golf. You can only drink so
Right.
many margaritas on the beach, on the boat. Although I would
Right.
like to give it a try. I would like to try and see how long it would take me to get bored. I'll give it the attempt. And then here's once again, employees are energized to take action when the rewards are attractive, valence, and linked to performance instrumentality. This means that employees are motivated to work hard when they're given rewards that they want. This intended effort is then converted to actual work when employees believe that their hard work will actually allow them to perform their jobs successfully. And that's part of that is just doing a good job is also, you know, I like to do a good job. You know, if I feel like if you know I'm doing something half-hearted, you know it, you feel it, and sometimes you have to course correct
Mm-hmm.
because it's not a good feeling to think, you know, hey, you know, you're getting stuff done, but it's just not quite what it should be.
Oh,
That's why they make vacations too, to re-energize. Matt is a manager at Starbucks. He recently received a special motivation report. He isn't sure how to use the information it contains. Can you help? Knowing that you are studying expectancy theory, Matt wants you to read the motivation report and help him write an email that will motivate his employee Jaden. Motivate his employee Jaden. Review what motivates employees at Starbucks by reading motivation report. In general, motivation at Starbucks is high. However, different employees are motivated by different things. In Matt's department, Jaden is motivated by learning new
Mom's on the
things.
way.
Peter is motivated by money, and Adrian is motivated by interesting work.
You hear me? Your
So
mom.
Jaden is motivated by learning new things. Hi, Jaden. As you may know, Starbucks is in a battle with McDonald's to capture the early morning coffee customer. Okay, make it less than $9 for a coffee, and we'll talk. Last month, our location sold 180 lattes per day, while McDonald's down the street sold 220. We need to beat McDonald's next month. Which of the following sentences should be used to increase age expectancy? You and I will be having a weekly meeting to come up with strategies to ensure an increase in latte sales, because they want to learn something new. And then which of the following should use to increase Jaden's instrumentality? Your goal for the month is to sell 10% more lattes. You will receive a reward if you reach it. You know, that's pretty easy stuff here. Do you think some kind of reward would be appropriate to motivate Jaden? If so, what should it be? They give you, okay, what should the reward be? Full tutor for a course of his choice, a choice of working assignments, a $200 bonus. Well, like we said, he likes to learn new things, so we, you know, let him go take the course. Good luck and happy selling. All right, we've got 3 more sections to finish here, so I'm gonna try to get through them before it gets too late. Reinforcement theory. I don't know about how many of y'all been here, but we all have. So Chiquita said she didn't play that.
That was a no.
My kids.
No.
Well, a part of reinforcement is you do the same thing that said. My daughter still tells the stories about when her and her brother was young. Before we'd ever go in the store, I would stop the car and I would turn around and I would tell them the same thing. Be on your best behavior. Don't touch a goddamn thing. You know, because don't go touching stuff on the shelves, and be on your best behavior. And it was the same way every single time I stopped that car for us to go into the store. You know, there we were kind of no nonsense there. Well, you know, and as a young couple with young children, it's not like we had a whole lot of money. We were in there for a purpose.
Yes.
We knew how much we could spend. We knew how much we had extra. Everything was budgeted to the dime, especially with trying to feed 2 kids. So don't come in here asking for 67 things, because you know you're not going to get any of them. You know, I started to sound like my own dad. You know, well, you got a roof over your head, you got food. What else do you need?
Right. And clothes.
And clothes, yeah. And of course, we always try to make adjustments for that. and always there when you're young. Last week, Dustin's Jacinta was a very bad girl. Yes, I'm still here. Where'd Jacinta go? There it is. I just, Jacinta was a very bad girl. It just sounded weird coming out of my mouth. I didn't like that at all. Made myself uncomfortable. She went to the store with him and whined and whined. I want this. Dustin thought it would never stop and upset him very much. Dustin knows, according to reinforcement theory, two methods can decrease the likelihood of whining in the future: punishment and extinction. Now he's asking your advice about exactly what to do to use each technique. Well, like I said, like I tell my kid, if you act like that, just don't go into the light. Come back to us. Use the drop-down menus in the following diagram to specify the behaviors to match the reinforcement theory techniques. Down here. Okay, so A, extinction, pay no attention. B, grounder for whining. So you have, the ignore it category, and then you have the punishment category. And once again, when I grew up in the 70s and 80s, there was only one category. It was the punishment category. You did not act the fool in the store when you went with Andrew K. Diamond. Let me tell you what. That'd be one of the last things you ever did. As pointed out in the question, reinforcement theory suggests that there are two ways to decrease behaviors: extinction and punishment. Extinction means that behavior is not rewarded, will go away. When Dustin ignores Jacinta, she is less likely to whine because she doesn't get rewarded for it with attention. Likewise, the whining behavior is punished, it's also likely to stop. The problem with it, I say not the problem with the extinction, but the issue that we've always found out is you can ignore bad behavior, but it's going to peak before it starts to go down. So you have to really be able to ignore it.
Okay.
And no, not me.
Can't do it. I can't even do other people's kids.
Nope. Reinforcement relies on consequences, the presentation of which can occur according to continuous or intermittent schedule. So Ada has decided to dock employees' pay in response to tardiness. Oof. She thinks that having the punishment occur sporadically will more effectively reduce this unwanted behavior. At times, the fourth person that is tardy will get docked pay, and sometimes the sixth person will get docked. If the employees are smart, they will figure out that is the fifth occurrence of tardiness on average that results in docked pay. So this is an example of variable ratio. I cannot imagine that would ever be a good idea. You would have an uprising on your hands.
It's probably her.
Because the perception is the reality, and there's also the perception, and people live and breathe by their perceptions of things. And if it's perceived to be unfair, then it is unfair, and you're going to have issues. Okay, so the scenario is an example of variable ratio schedule of reinforcement. With a variable ratio schedule, consequences follow a different number of behaviors that vary around the average number of behaviors. This means sometimes a smaller number of behaviors must be performed to gain consequences, and sometimes more. Ada is following the schedule on docking pay after an average of 5 instances of tardiness. Now, once again, I don't see that being real effective. Maybe, I always found that people, wasn't Ron? I'm working Ron a lot. People will rise to the expectations given to them. So I always believe that the more you expect, more people will rise to those expectations. But those expectations have to be known, and they can't be, I'm not gonna call it willy-nilly, but they can't be variable. People react better. The first time you're late, this happens. Second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. They know exactly what's
Lock
happening.
the
They can
door.
prepare for the consequences. What piece of advice would you offer A to ensure that her punishment is effective at reducing tardiness? And they say, in order to reduce the likelihood of backlash, punish every instance of tardiness as soon as it happens. So once again, I don't know if I even, once again, that seems like a simplistic thought process on it, right? The first time you're 5 minutes late, it gets notated, nobody cares, right?
Right.
It's the second and third and fourth time, and when it becomes a pattern or a trend. And this is coming from a guy who is 5 minutes late to everything. I am the worst, and that's part of my issues with my own time management, which I'm always trying to squeeze things in. I'm like, okay, I've got an hour before this meeting, so I can do this, and this, and that never quite works out for me. And I'm going, crap, I finished. What? I got meeting in 5. And my OCD doesn't let me leave things undone. So there's always that. Managers should correctly administer punishment in order to reduce backlash. To be effective, punishment must be administered each time the unwanted behavior occurs as soon as possible following the undesirable behavior. The punishment should be enough to stop the undesired behavior, apply to employees, and coincide with a clear explanation of what the desired behavior is. As a result, you should advise ADA to punish every instance of tardiness as soon as it happens. And like I said, you just put on a scale, right? You know what happens the first time, you know what happens the fifth time. Gonna make it. Okay, we're going to go quick now. Use your knowledge of goal setting theory to complete the following instance. So we're at goal setting right now. Feedback refers to information that people receive about how well they are doing to reaching a goal. And that goes along with any sort of communication. Any sort of communication is feedback. That's why I always ask, hey, if you can turn on your camera, please do, because I like to see people's faces. If I'm just looking at blocks with names, I feel like I'm just speaking out into space, and it can be uncomfortable. And so feedback gives people information on whether they are making progress toward achieving a goal. Without feedback, people can't change their behaviors to meet a goal, which leads to low performance. So once again, you want to be able to see y'all's beautiful smiling faces. And and unfairly, you guys get to see mine. Lyle's manager just handed him a list of goals for the year because Lyle had no say in these goals. He wasn't sure that they are right ones for him, and as a result, he isn't very motivated to accomplish them. So what are we looking for here? This is identify the cause of each of the following problems. So acceptance is going to be that problem. We'll look at the explanation here. Vonda is frustrated with her manager, Glenda. Last week, when Vonda asked about Glenda's expectations, Glenda said, just do your best, but Vonda doesn't know exactly what to do, and as a result, she isn't very motivated. So, Lyle's manager is handing him a list of goals for the year because he had no say. He wasn't sure that they are the right ones for him, so very motivated. He's having a problem with goal acceptance. When employees understand and agree to goals, they are better motivated to accomplish them. And I think most management have figured that out, on a certain level. Unless you're like an assembly line worker where the goals are pretty much straightforward, right? You tighten 23 bolts an hour. That's what you do. Otherwise, everybody else cannot maintain. But in different environments, the goals have to be agreed upon. If Vonda is having a problem with goal specificity, goals such as visit one customer each day or sell $1,000 worth of merchandise a week are more motivating than goals such as keep in touch with new customers or increase merchandise sales. So best doesn't quite, because you don't really know. You have to have clear and specific goals to know if you're doing your best. The sell $1,000 worth of merchandise. Well, you work really hard and you sell 850, then you know you've done your best.
Right.
Because you're looking to reach a certain goal. Otherwise, you're just kind of out there just floundering. All right, all right, can we get through this? All right, we can get through this. This is a video. Oh, share my sound. All right, well, since it doesn't want to seem like it's going to work, we're running out of time. Employees at Living Social Escapes who are motivated by the belief that taking people on trips is a worthwhile endeavor are motivated by intrinsic rewards, whereas motivation occurs as a result of receiving compensation for successful trips are extrinsic rewards. Extrinsic rewards are those that are tangible and visible to others, like having equity in a company that becomes vested after a year of employment or receiving compensation for a successful trip. Intrinsic rewards are less visible to others and are natural rewards a person associates with performing a job for its own sake, like being excited about planned trips. The belief that taking people on trips is a worthwhile endeavor is and having fun at your job. Okay, it's still not running, is it? All right, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave this up here for everybody to look at later, since we're running out of time, and I want to respect everyone's time. You can always pause it here if you go to look back later. And the explanation, we pause, we read, go back up, pause, we read. All right, I think we made it. I think we've done some successful stuff here. All right, I like it. It is 7:29. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, which means that is the end of class. Oh, got it, man.